What about the criticism that I hear, and you may hear too, that NASCAR isn't the old paint swapping in your face, screaming and yelling at each other, throwing helmets, that a lot of people really like that era of NASCAR, that it's not that way anymore, and
yeah.
What do you think about that?
I remember, in the 90s when I was a kid growing up, I used to hear from fans all the time how the 70s were so much better. Those guys were real tough guys, and these guys today are wimps. And now today you hear about, is LeBron as good as Michael Jordan? No, those guys, Michael Jordan in his day was way tougher. It seems like there's always some revisionist history and theory to any and all sports, and NASCAR is no different.
So you don't want to get out and throw your helmet at somebody after they say get loose in a turn and knock you out of Bristol? Something like that, Brad?
Well, I'm not sure I understand what throwing a helmet at a guy does, but I can tell you, Rich, that I'm not afraid to rub fenders or to, push around or even be pushed around a little bit on the racetrack. I think that's good racing. Always has been, always will be.
So then what constitutes a dirty driver?
That's a matter of perspective. Yeah, that's a very good question. What is a dirty driver? I think someone that will intentionally wreck someone without good reason or merit. That to me falls in that context. But I couldn't tell you that I have the perfect explanation towards it.
Okay, so you don't mind swapping paint. You don't mind, getting in somebody's face. Is there somebody in particular on the circuit that brings that out of you more than anybody else?
People ask me all the time, who's my biggest rivalry, Rich? Mm-hmm. And I would tell you hands down that I try not to think of one person, and I will always answer it the same way. It's the car in front of me. Mm-hmm. If I'm not leading the race and you're the car in front of me, mm-hmm. you're my rival. That's all and I think when you get caught up in one guy, that there's 40 other guys out there you got to beat, or really 39 if you count yourself. Mm-hmm. If you get caught up in one guy, you forget about the other 38. Mm-hmm. And so I try really hard not to do that.
And now that you have a kid, has that changed anything for you? With obviously Dale Jr. and his concussions. This year is his concussion that has essentially knocked him out of the year, and him thinking long term as opposed to short term to try and get into the chase this year. Has having a kid at all changed your philosophy, Brad?
Well, life's about change. You're not the same person at 20 that you were when you were 17, and you're not the same person at 30 that you were at 25. And sometimes that's good. And in some ways, when you get to 40, you probably think, man, I wish I was 30 and had all that flexibility and strength. But, I think that you probably change sometimes and don't know you changed. I don't feel much different after, being a father. But I feel maybe a little bit more mature. I don't feel less risk adverse. I'm still out there racing as hard as I can, trying to win races. I can promise you that. But I think at time to time, when the race is done, you think about those things. And a guy like Dale, who has, been blessed with a really good life, and he's got incredible people around him right now. Those are questions that you're going to ask yourself a little bit louder when you get older. And I'm certainly don't think I'm going to be any exception to it.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.